Let's talk a little bit about Weezer. Alright, so Weezer formed in 1992 between Rivers Cuomo, Matt Sharp, Patrick Wilson, and Jason Cropper. Who wasn't there for too long, but they formed out of mutual bands in like the LA area where they all lived, at least at that moment. And eventually, much of them are part of this project called like 60 Wrong Sausages. Kind of this weird, noisy, heavy metal inspired outfit. And then Pat Wilson came up to Rivers and, was serious about getting another project going, so they decided to embark on a 50-song project. That was like the real beginnings of what became Weezer on their journey to superstardom. So they wrote a lot of songs for this project. I'm gonna name off some of the ones that made it. Such as "The World Has Turned and Left Me Here" was written during this period in 1991. I should have specified that if I didn't. A couple other on his list: "Why Do We Hate Each Other," "Lullaby for Wayne," "Thief, You've Taken All That Was Me," "Undone," the Sweater Song, "Make Me a Palette," "I Can't Forget the Way," and "Chasm." Ooh, Cheese Wheel. Never heard that. Oh, My Name Is Jonas as well, featuring a contribution from Jason Cropper, at least instrumentally. After that, they decided to get serious about the band and, brought in Matt Sharp and Jason Cropper. Eventually named it Weezer after their first rehearsal on the 14th of February, 1992. Their first shows were at the pitiful 1 a.m. slot, where, most people at the venue were checking out. Yeah, they were probably wasted, trying to figure out how they were going to get home. But if they were still there, they weren't there in spirit anymore, and mostly trying to figure out their way out. So no one was really tuning into what Weezer had to offer at those early shows in 1992. So, after running the circuit a little bit, they decided to move things up a bit and recorded their first demo tape in the garage next to the kitchen in the house that Rivers Cuomo lived. And on this infamous tape, they recorded "Thief, You've Taken All That Was Me," "My Name Is Jonas," "Let's Sew Our Pants Together," "Undone," "Paper Face," "Say It Ain't So," "Only in Dreams," and "The World Has Turned and Left Me Here." Not too long after that. Oh shit. Well, I missed one. That was their second demo. Their first demo was just a three track featuring "Thief, You've Taken All That Was Me," "Let's Sew Our Pants Together," and "The World Has Turned and Left Me Here." I don't believe that there's any bootlegs out there of that, at least none that I've come across, so I've never heard any of these. But then after that, so that was in May 1992, and then August 1992 they did the kitchen tape for not all of this either, but a lot of it. Then after that, I guess this is really just a pressing of the kitchen tape called Opposite Sides of the Same Old Fence, which looks like it features just about all of them except for Only in Dreams. It's the only thing omitted. Guess they weren't really satisfied. Ooh, Undone is also not on it, so I guess they weren't satisfied with how either of those were sounding quite at that moment. Whew. Jumping up to November 1992, they recorded the third demo, which they entitled The Real Demo. This featured No One Else, then recently penned, as well as The World Has Turned and Left Me Here, Say It Ain't So, Undone, and occasionally on the B-side of this cassette it would have Surf Wax America in a less than stellar recording than the rest of the offerings on that tape. Which really shows that they were taking a certain shape that would be polished later once they met up with producer Rick Ocasek. But that would still be a ways off. This is still only November of 92. They weren't signed until June 26th of 1993 to DGC Records by Todd Sullivan, who became a fan of the band through their live shows and probably came across one of their demo tapes. It wouldn't surprise me. A couple other songs that Rivers demoed in 1992 are pretty interesting, such as Ooh, and This Is My Love Song for You, which I don't believe you've heard. Into 1993, before getting signed, Rivers recorded a string of demos, including Hot Tub, which was allegedly meant for Tom Jones, which I find to be very curious. I don't really know much about him, but this provides an insight into Rivers' life, with the line "Smoke a Bowl" prominently featured. Alright, so after getting signed to DGC Records, jumping up to June 26, 1993, after, band members noodled around some more in between band rehearsals and live shows. Recording demos. I'm pretty sure Pat Wilson recorded more demos. I wouldn't be surprised if Matt Sharp did. And I don't really know too much about this Jason Cropper fella. Not too much about what else he was doing. After getting signed, they moved quick. They started pre-rehearsals, pre-recording, narrowing their musical output down to 15 songs to work on, work on towards the album. They did this at a place called Cole Rehearsals in LA. And it was during these sessions that the record label insisted that they, think about... It was Todd Sullivan, actually, who insisted that they consider getting a producer on board to help the process along, and urging them to, have a produced record, and then they can dabble in producing on the next record, which obviously they ended up doing with Pinkerton, and later on again with Maladroit, but that's about it on the self-production side of things. But ultimately, these songs were pretty well shaped by the time they got Rick Ocasek on board, because during the pre-recording sessions at Cole Rehearsal, they worked on Holiday, Say It Ain't So, Lullaby for Wayne, My Name Is Jonas, In the Garage, and a reprise for it, Undone, Only in Dreams, Surf Wax America, Buddy Holly, No One Else, The World Has Turned and Left Me Here, I Swear It's True, Getting Up and Leaving, and Michael and Carly. I mean, I guess they worked on other songs at the early point in those sessions, but ultimately those are the 15 they decided to bring with them when they traveled to New York to go to Electric Lady Studios and work with Rick Ocasek in August of 1993, where quickly they nixed plans for Lullaby for Wayne, I Swear It's True, Getting Up and Leaving, and the In the Garage reprise, which I think was really just a studio experiment that they were doing at Cole rehearsals. But I don't know, maybe it happened early in Electric Lady. I don't really know the story behind that one, but ultimately it was abandoned pretty quickly along with the rest of those. In the beginning of what would become a rather lengthy stint over at Electric Lady and switching studios over and over again over there. Because midway through this, Jason Cropper experienced an existential crisis with a baby on the way, so ended up getting politely axed from the band after... I think they tried to work with him a little bit, but I think he became a little erratic and unstable to work with. Probably wasn't always all there. Can't really blame him, I guess. But ultimately, they nixed him from the band and promptly got back in touch with someone they had met in the LA area music and art scene, Brian Bell. Got him on the phone, and Rivers just cut right to the point and asked him if he would like to join the band. And then about a week or so goes by, and they've worked out an arrangement, and Bell's recording a tape to send over to Electric Lady, and then once it arrives on, let's see here, what day was that? That would be September 14th, whereas September 1st, 1993 was the day of the phone call and that Brian Bell joined the band. So on September 14th, he records that demo tape with no one else. I think he's kind of ad-libbing it, but plays the song, and he arrives at the studio on September 17th. And quickly then they decide, with the 11 songs they've narrowed the album down to, with Michael and Carly being abandoned, and basically all their guitar and harmony vocal bits needing to be redone. The band decides that it's best to just have Rivers tackle the guitar portions while teaching Brian the vocals. So they do that down in Studio B, while the rest of what they had recorded with Jason Cropper still on board, just with his parts mixed out of it now, down in Studio C, while the bulk of the recording was done mostly through August. They're stint in August there in Studio A. Yeah. So after wrapping that up, like about a week late, I think it's like October at this point, or at least almost October, 93 at this point, where they finished up their studio time after arriving at the end. Their first day there was August 16th. So, like a month later, they get Brian Bell in there to reshape the album. Like, reshape the cuts for the album. And, wow. Maybe we were in rush mode then, I guess, but, I mean, it doesn't show. We got a great quality album out of it. Hallelujah. So then, after that, after the mixing process has started, and Michael Carly was abandoned. The album's become the 10-track masterpiece that we all know and love now. Brian's first live show with the band was November 30th, 1993. Ooh, here's some fun trivia for you before we get to the B-sides. Probably should have mentioned earlier, but whatever. This works. Their third rehearsal session ever. I don't know why I have this, but it's interesting because there's a lot of stuff that they played here that we never see again. Their third rehearsal session ever on February 16th, 1992. They played I Can't Forget the Way, which is the first thing they ever recorded. So that's got to be floating around somewhere. Undone, Underground, Two to Tango, which is from the 50 Song Project, Thief, Mega Man, Color Machine, Close Your Eyes and Give Me a Kiss, The World Has Turned and Left Me Here, Spider Bitch, Chasm, Ain't Got No Words, Biggest Animal, and Answer Man. A couple of those are 60 Wrong, Sausages. And I watched on the video capture device, Weezer DVD, the performance of Answer Man, and that was pretty interesting, pretty certainly energetic stuff. Alright, so the album was being mixed, it was taking shape, and they needed to do B-sides. They need to do B-sides. I guess Rick was here to oversee this but this is jumping up a huge ways. This is June 24th, 1994 now. So I'm not really sure, but ultimately the B-sides that came out of it were Michael and Carly, My Eveline, and Suzanne, and not the Mallrats version of Suzanne. It's a different version that doesn't have any keyboard, and it sounds a little rawer. I kind of like it more. One last B-side was one of the few recordings that still featured Jason Cropper on it, was Jamie, which was recorded before they were signed. April 15th, 1993. In 6 takes. And the 5th was deemed a master take, and then they did one more, and they said, well, this one's better. So they went with that. But it wasn't released until sometime in, 1994. After the album came out on May 10th, 1994. Yeah, so none of the B-sides were even recorded. There was no B-sides. There was no singles prior to the album being released. Fascinating. Fascinating. But that's it. That's pretty much it for the Blue Album. We're doing some other ones later on. Getting to my favorite one. It's one of those self-produced ones. Bet you can't guess which one. Anyway, tune in for the next installment, whenever that will be. He's on.